Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has conceded that government failed the people of Hammanskraal. After years of failing to deal with the maintenance and infrastructure issues, Ramaphosa has outlined government's plans to upgrade the Rooiwal Wastewater treatment plant. But the project will take 3 years. This has sparked concerns about the lack of maintenance at many government facilities. Let's get more from, joined now by Julius Kleynhans, Executive Manager for Social Innovation at OUTA. A very good evening to you, Julius. Thank you so much for your time. President Ramaphosa has admitted that his government failed the people of Hammanskraal. Would you say it's a case of too little, too late?
It is too little, too late, because Hammanskraal is not the only problem in South Africa. In fact, this is just, unfortunately, we've seen a couple of people who have been affected by their health. But this is actually the norm in the rest of the country. You know, I think it's a ticking time bomb just waiting to explode. And it's long overdue that there was, I think, in fact, you know, the political oversight needs to be held accountable for this. Because in Hammanskraal, specifically a decade ago, the ANC government with the current electricity minister, Ramaphosa, was the mayor back then. We declared that this is a disaster area. They got about 1.5 billion rand to fix the problem at Rooiwal, and that money is gone. And we're sitting on the same problem. It would have taken 2-3 years back then to fix it, and I think history is just going to repeat itself.
Yeah. I mean, as matters stand, it's still unclear how the government plans to contain this outbreak when the source is unknown. And there's also the question of where the 4 billion rand to fix the Rooiwal water treatment plant will come from.
Exactly, and this is just one of the issues. You know, we're talking about one wastewater treatment works, and in the country there's over 995, of which 335 are in a critical state. Rooiwal is one of them. Now, what people don't understand necessarily is the sewage needs to be treated and it's discharged into a river or dam, and that needs to be diluted so that the town downstream, like Hammanskraal, can abstract that water, clean it to a drinkable state, and distribute it to the residents. This is how water and drinking water in South Africa works. So the risk is significant, and you know, there's only about 23 wastewater treatment works out of the 995 in South Africa that got green drop status. That means they're actually complying to the audit requirements that the department has set out. And like Minister Mchunu said earlier in this broadcast, you know, municipalities must test water regularly and monitor water efficiently, but the department needs to apply oversight and ensure that municipalities comply with drinking water requirements as well as wastewater. So they cannot say that they don't know. You know, Provincial Overwatch gets these reports on a monthly basis. Mm-hmm. So national government and provincial government has known about this for long.
Yeah. You know, you speak about the role of municipalities. Perhaps what's your take on the role of the municipality? Because it's been blamed for its inability to allocate funding, especially because there's money coming in. It's not like there is no money. We heard the president also speaking about perhaps not allocating their budget wisely. The water crisis is not a new problem in Hammanskraal. I mean, you've spoken to that. It's over a decade-long problem. You know, when it comes to the large quantities of raw sewage moving into the Uppies River from the Rooiwal water waste plant treatment in the Tshwane municipality, what do you think in terms of accountability? Where should the municipality, you know, raising its hand and also accounting to what's happened? I mean, lives have been lost and people are still asking questions. I mean, we also heard the residents of Hammanskraal, as the president said, ensure to boil your drinking water. The residents asked, with what electricity? Because that itself is also another crisis.
Yeah, I think the crisis speaks to itself. It's a government that's let the people down, and I think come 2024, people need to think again on who they're going to cast that vote to. You know, municipalities have a very clear mandate. They're supposed to provide sustainable basic services. That means drinking water, electricity, refuse removal. They need to ensure that the roads are intact and that there's no potholes and things like that. And, all the viewers can just think to themselves, municipalities are failing dismally. And I think there's been so much political influence in our municipality with cadre deployment, and you see that our municipalities sit with significant skill shortages, and the money goes into the municipal pot. You're right, rightfully so. Instead of reallocating that water tariff that you're paying for your water, or the sanitation levy, to the cause and that service, it goes into the pot. I think municipalities, in fact, the Auditor General indicated last week that some municipalities' salary bills far outweigh the amounts of money to even run the municipality. So I think there's significant change that we need to see in our municipalities. And then just from accountability point of view, it's very clear. Polluting water is criminal. And if you supply water to people that's of substandard, that is a criminal offense. If you buy a drinking bottle of water and it's dirty, you can sue that company, and the directors will be criminally liable for that. So we see that government has a bit of a get out of jail free card, and they're playing player and referee, which has significant consequences. And if we don't see someone going to jail soon, I don't think we're going to see a change in the water sector.
Perhaps let's veer off the subject slightly. Government has fallen behind on plans to scrap e-tolls. The switch-off date for the controversial user pay system is yet to be finalized. That's, of course, despite previous commitments. It's a matter of concern. How much do you know about the progress?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the same as the water problems and every other problem in South Africa, we hear that government's working on it. We hear they're fixing it. In fact, various government and political faces have said that it's the end of e-tolls over years now. And, from a civil society point of view, you try to follow the lines and you do your part, and there's a time where you trust government and you hand it over and you rely on them to do something. But we don't see that, so you cannot help but to question, okay, what is keeping them from pulling the trigger? And that is where we believe, that's where the hidden agendas are and other companies involved, and that's where corruption takes place. As Wayne, our CEO, cleverly said the other day, if government makes an irrational decision, you cannot help but to think, is it incompetence or corruption? Because it has to be one of the two these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. Julius Kleynhans, Executive Manager for Social Innovation at OUTA.